And since we're in the month of October and it's a breast cancer awareness month, we thought to talk about breast cancer today. And today he joins me actually on the phone. He's not in the studio today. I miss you, Dr. Osafo. Hello, Doc. Doc, can you hear me? Hello, Doc. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I
can hear you.
There you are. I miss seeing you in the studio.
Today is very, very strange. I mean, first time.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I miss seeing your bald head in the studio.
Kwame, how have you been?
I'm well. I'm well, thank you. And how are you two?
Oh, very, very well.
And how's the team?
The rain just trapped me today. I mean, just raining cats and dogs all over. Too bad I couldn't make it to the studio, but I still think we can have a very useful conversation today. Definitely. We've been talking about having a conversation about breast cancer for a little bit. This month has been dedicated to breast cancer awareness, the Pink Month, we call it. The Pink Month.
Today, what would you want to share with us?
Right, Kwame, so you're absolutely right, and good afternoon to all our listeners, and I hope everybody is safe from the rain. So the month of October every year is set aside to create awareness about breast cancer. It's been nicknamed the Pink October. So definitely we had to talk about it. And Kwame, let me start off, since we are still in the quiz mood. It was just this month that we won the thing, number 6. So we're still in the quiz month. Yeah. So I have a question.
For who?
Philip. I think I'll let you have the first shot. If you don't answer right, then I'll pass it to Philip.
Hey, Asemini.
What do you think is the primary function of the breast? So today we're talking about breast.
What is the primary function
of the breast?
Of the breast.
This is a very cheap question.
This is a trap. This is definitely a trap.
Oh,
I jump and pass. Me ritra.
We should bring Philip in.
I should bring Philip in. Well, he would know. He would know.
He wouldn't know.
No, he would know.
He would know. Oh, okay.
Because I've got 2. He's got 4.
Right. I'll get the answers at the end of the show.
I hear you.
So, the term cancer represents the growth or proliferation of abnormal cells in any part of the body. So today we're going to be talking about breast cancer. And I just wanted to start off by defining in very simple terms what cancer is. So again, it represents the growth of abnormal cells in any part of the body. Cancer can start in any organ or any tissue and spread to involve other organs of the body. So another point about cancer is that typically it spreads beyond its origins. Now, Kwame, let me share some key facts about breast cancer. Number 1, breast cancer is the most frequently diagnosed cancer in women globally. Number 2, in Ghana, approximately 2,200 individuals were diagnosed with breast cancer in the year 2012. And if you look at our data collection and data reporting systems in Ghana, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's not where we would want it to be. So I would think that this 2,200 is a form of underreporting. But yes, approximately 2,200 individuals were diagnosed with breast cancer in 2012. The peak ages at the time of diagnosis for most of these individuals between 40 years and 49. 40 and 49 years. 1% of all diagnoses. So, Kwame, if we take the 2,200, that's what, 22 individuals were men. So that's one statistic. And yesterday I was discussing this with somebody. I was like, my doctor, you say you're going to talk about breast cancer. Why are you mentioning men? Well, 1% of all breast cancer cases or diagnoses are made in men. The incidence of breast cancer, again, in developing countries is going up, but the survival rates are very low. So again, if you look at the low income, middle income countries of the world, the breast cancer incidence, the number of cases we diagnose every year going up, but our survival rates are still very, very low compared to high-income countries. Another key fact, about 6 in 10 deaths from breast cancer occurs in, again, low and middle-income countries. In Ghana, about 1,000 deaths due to breast cancer were recorded in the year 2012. Again, 52 to 85% of patients present with advanced breast cancer. And Kwame, this is a very, very important point that I need to stress. This whole awareness and campaign that has been launched, this whole Pink October program or campaign, is to promote early detection of the disease. Because of a very peculiar situation we have in Ghana, where 52 to as high as 85% of all patients that we diagnose are already at the advanced stage by the time they come into Ghana. And Kwame, I think a few weeks ago, I shared a picture with you. Probably it's too gross for us to show to viewers on our social media pages.
Yeah.
But I showed a picture to you of advanced breast cancer of a woman who presented, to me sometime last year or about 18 months ago. And that wasn't even her primary concern. She was concerned about a boil. She called it a boil that had appeared behind one of her ears, and she wanted to get medical attention for that. Upon further examination, it was revealed that one of her breasts was totally gone, and the other was markedly swollen, and it turned out to be breast cancer. So the late presentation is an unfortunate feature of breast cancer in our part of the world. Lastly, early stage disease is always associated with good outcomes. So Kwame, these are some very, very important facts that I wanted to start the conversation with.
Okay.
Now, let's look at some of the risk factors for breast cancer. Who is more likely? And again, the phrase here is risk factors. We will talk, I'll mention a little bit about the cause, but then there are risk factors. Risk factors are collectively terms that when you put together increases the likelihood of you developing the disease.
Okay.
It's different from etiology or the cause. When we say this is the cause, then that's a different. There's some certainty to it when we talk about cause of a disease. So let's go through some of the risk factors for breast cancer. Number one, being female. So the female gender is a risk factor because, as I mentioned, 99% of all the diagnoses of breast cancer made in women, and then 1% made in men. So when it comes to breast tissue, both men and women have breast tissue, and that is what a lot of people don't know. So men do have breast. So Kwame, you and I have breast tissue, but it is very rudimentary. It's not properly developed because of the hormonal balance that we have. We have more male hormones as compared to female hormones, and therefore it suppresses the development of the breast tissue. So female sex or female gender is a risk factor. Okay. Number two, increasing age. The older you get, the more risk you pose of developing breast cancer. So we don't usually see breast cancer in 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. Although I must admit that, yes, there have been one or two individuals in that age group who have presented or who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. But in Ghana, as I mentioned earlier, peak ages at the time of diagnosis between 40 and 49 years. Third risk factor is a positive family history. If you have first-degree relatives, mother, aunt, father, maternal aunt, father, sibling, who has who has developed breast cancer, then it puts you at a greater risk compared to another person without a family history. Number 4, previous history of breast cancer in the other breast. So everybody's got a pair of breast tissue. So if you develop breast cancer in one breast, say the right one, then there is a greater risk that you will develop breast cancer in the other breast. Number 5, early onset of menstruation. So the menstrual cycle is regulated by hormones, progesterone, estrogens, and the different levels that happen at different times of the menstrual cycle. So we believe that if you start your menses early, and if you ask our parents, most of them had their first menstrual period somewhere 16, 17, that was the usual age. But now it is down to about 11, 10 years, and this person is then going to menstruate from about 11 years all the way through to the average age of menopause in Ghana, which is about 48 years. So we believe that this prolonged period of menstruation exposes you to relatively high levels of certain hormones that we believe are very influential in the development of breast cancer. Another risk factor is the late cessation of menstruation. So again, same principle as the early onset. So early onset, late cessation, meaning that you've got many years of exposure to certain female hormones, which we believe are very, very instrumental in the development of breast cancer. The next risk factor is having no children. Having no children. Again, when you become pregnant, there's an alteration in your hormonal levels. We believe that this alteration is protective in the development of breast cancer. So if you do not have children, then we believe that you do not get this protection, this alteration in the hormonal balance that is protective. So that's how we explain it. Again, starting a family at an older age. If you get pregnant for the first time, and let's say you are above 30, as opposed to somebody who starts a family at, say, 21, then again, if you're talking about the exposure to hormones that are protective in terms of the hormonal imbalances that occur during that period, then you can understand why starting a family at an older age is a risk factor. Again, not breastfeeding. So this is one of the good reasons why every woman is encouraged to breastfeed and not to resort to the formula feed, because for some people it represents a certain attainment of a certain social status. So they would rather do the formula feeding rather than doing breastfeeding. So again, breastfeeding is believed to be very protective in the whole breast cancer development cycle. Another risk factor is the use of hormonal replacement therapy. So sometimes for one reason or two, we will have to replace some of the female hormones because somebody has developed a condition maybe we call premature ovarian failure, and they need to have hormones put back in them in the form of pills. And sometimes we believe that this increases your risk.
Okay.
Obesity, lack of exercise, and excessive alcohol intake are all risk factors for developing breast cancer.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. So Kwame, back to the exercise again, back to the excessive use of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling our listeners that if they've been following, almost every single week we talk about a different topic, and alcohol seems to feature in there. Lack of exercise seems to feature in there. Obesity tends to feature in there. And today we're talking about breast cancer. So I know that in Ghana, being a bit plump is a thing of beauty. So we tend to not to look at obesity in terms of a dangerous health condition, but it is, and I would want all of us to pay particular attention to that.
Okay.
Now, Kwame, let's look at the signs and symptoms, or what are the features? What are the features of breast cancer? How would I know that I should be concerned? I should see my doctor about it. Well, the first thing is some people might develop a breast lump, which is usually painless. And again, that is one of the challenges that we have in our part of the world, because our health-seeking habits in Ghana tend to be one of, if it is not painful, then I don't go see the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
If it is painful or it gives me a lot of pain, then I go and see the doctor. So the dentists always are pulling their hair out and say, oh, why do you wait till the caries or the caca is so painful and then you come to the hospital, and then things are far advanced. So unfortunately, the breast lump of breast cancer is painless. And therefore, I think it's a theory, but I think that is what accounts for a lot of the late presentation, just because of our health-seeking habits, which has pain at the center of it. If I have pain, then I'll go to the hospital. So there's so many other breast pathologies or diseases of the breast that present with a lump. So having a lump or detecting a lump doesn't necessarily mean that you have breast cancer. A lot of females come to me and they are very, very anxious, very panicky, just because they found a lump. And most of the time it turns out to be benign. So although I'm talking about a lump, I just want everybody to know that not every lump is breast cancer. But if you find a lump, it should get you to go and see your doctor. The lump is usually painless, so don't say you're waiting for a painful lump. It becomes painful when things are far advanced. The second thing people may notice are changes in the nipple, and also sometimes a nipple discharge. So, Kwame, if you stand in front of the mirror, typically we would expect the nipples to be pointing at you, or looking forward, or looking a bit down, depending on the stage in which the woman is. So a woman in her late 20s, 30s, who's been breastfeeding 2 or 3 children, of course, we don't expect the nipples to be standing up and pointing forward, but they should be outward looking.
Okay.
The moment the nipples are indrawn, or they appear to be sucked in instead of pushed out, then it is a significant enough change for you to seek medical attention.
That's right.
Right.
Okay.
And then also a nipple discharge. Except you are lactating, you're a lactating mother, we don't expect your nipple to have any discharge, no matter how hard you squeeze the breast. So if we typically find a nipple discharge, we will be concerned. Not every nipple discharge represents that of breast cancer. Sometimes you can have some milk-producing brain tumors that can also lead some women to produce a milky discharge, although they are not lactating. Typically, you have a red-brown discharge, a frankly bloody discharge, bright red blood, very offensive discharge coming out of the nipple. Definitely, it should concern you enough to want to see your doctor about it.
All right, Doc. So I know there are a lot of these that you'd want to share with, but we ran out of time. So can we have a part 2 of the conversation next week?
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 next week.
Okay. Yeah, because we need to, treat this in full. So hopefully next week we can have some more detailed points on some of the symptoms as well.
Okay. Can I just wrap up on this, or we're totally out of time?
No, you can just.
All right. So I'll wrap up on this. So the other one is the changes in the size of the breast. So the breasts are by and large symmetrical. They never equal, but they are symmetrical. So if you notice some asymmetry, one is far bigger than the other, and every woman should know how her breast looks like because you've looked at them for 25 years or 15 years. So changes in the size of the breast or asymmetry in the size of the breast. When you have also skin changes, say you have a rash, or you have a swelling, or you have an ulcer, a sore on your breast, you should have it looked at. Most people tend to say, oh, there was just this rash that's been there and I started scratching it and then it became the sore. No, always have it checked out. And then lastly, if you have a lump in your armpit or a swelling in your armpit, Kwame, most of the time, if we look at the anatomy of the breast, although we see the bulk of it on your chest, there's something we call the tail of the breast, that goes into your armpit. So the doctor or your experienced nurse or midwife will always examine your armpit when we conduct a breast examination. It is because we are looking out for the tail of the breast, which is found in the armpit, which can also be involved in the lump. So, Kwame, these are some of the features that are commonly noticed in breast cancer.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Doc. For those who would want to find out more or probably speak to you, how can they contact you?
Right. So, Kwame, we're conducting free breast screening at Medical's hospitals at Mampong and at our Medina branch. And we'll go beyond the month of October. So I'd encourage all women to walk in and get their breast examined. It doesn't cost a thing. We'll do the examination for you. And then if we need to do further investigations, we'll direct you accordingly. The number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340.
Doc, thank you so much. We're grateful.
You're welcome, Kwame.
God bless you. Dr. Yaw Osafo is CEO of Medical's Hospital, Medina, Firestone, and Mampong.